Londres.
Voilà une nouvelle qui ne va pas vous surprendre. La marchandisation de l'éducation, ce n'est pas bon pour tout le monde. Nous vous adressons de l'autre côté de la Manche, où les universités représentent l'aboutissement du rêve macronien. Parce que nous voulons vous montrer ce à quoi une université néolibérale ressemble, et vous montrer ce que vous êtes en train de résister. Alors, bienvenue à Warwick University Limited.
Let's start with the basics. Here, selection procedures have been happening for ages, and social and racial inequalities are very visible across universities. Fees for home students are currently capped at €11,000, but they could be raised even higher in the near future. Universities get to set their own fees for postgraduate and international students, which means that often they're more than double that of home students. So universities spend a lot of resources to attract these students. On top of that, living grants for low-income students were abolished 2 years ago. So now one of the few ways to get into university without debt is through the army.
Marketisation doesn't equate to quality. The amount invested in our course is linked to how much profitable research our department does, and costs are cut constantly. In humanities and arts, smaller modules are under continual threat of being stopped because they aren't cost effective. Meanwhile, in the sciences, the rooms aren't even large enough for all students to sit. Smaller modules get cut to reading modules, meaning teach yourself or fail. Science departments end up hiring researchers who are forced to teach without any training. Staff's teaching conditions are students' learning conditions. But at UK universities, more than half of staff manage on some form of insecure and non-permanent contract. Here at Warwick, the figure's 68%. Despite extortionate fees, teachers aren't even paid for all the hours they work. Staff are already measured on quantity and quality of research every 3 years. Additional to this, universities are relying more and more on casual staff, but also universities across the UK, including Warwick, are trying to reduce job security for permanent staff, threatening their academic freedom.
University space is not free space. The student body is segmented into those with and without access to certain areas of campus. For instance, Warwick Business School and Warwick Manufacturing Group are only available to students who study in those departments, but they contain cutting-edge technologies and some of the best facilities on campus. More exclusive still are the BP archives, which share a building with the library, but even fewer students have access to it. On top of that, some university spaces are explicitly not even for students in any way. For instance, the conference centres scattered around campus. Contrast the students sitting on the floor in lectures and not having departmental common rooms with the luxury found in the slate.
The profit-driven neoliberal university does not only have internal borders, it also safeguards national borders. Staff are expected to act as border guards by monitoring international students. Foreign staff members are restricted by visas that limit their capacity to engage in political organising, and immigration regulations that are even stricter for workers on lower pay grades, very often outsourced migrants.
An actual mental health crisis has developed among the student body and among staff, as angst of paying for rent and food without a grant and the fear of not getting a job to repay an average debt of €60,000 puts pressure on us to excel at our academic studies, thus cutting out time for politics, socialising and sport. The minimum is spent on mental health, and the student suicide rate is now higher than that of the non-student population.
Évidemment, tout n'est pas gris ici. Il y a beaucoup de choses dont la France pourrait s'inspirer, par exemple la confiance accordée aux étudiants, l'esprit critique ou la flexibilité des diplômes. Mais cela ne signifie pas qu'il faille compromettre sur l'éducation en tant que droit public.
Now you might be wondering, how did we get here? Well, since the 1980s, union power in Britain has been progressively weakened by the government. In 2010, when tuition fees were tripled, students and staff did all they could to oppose it, but were defeated. A few days ago, staff union leadership pressured successfully for the end of the longest running strike in the history of British universities. Staff won some concessions, but their pensions are still under threat.
The neoliberal university suffocates opposition. Students are apathetic about and discouraged from politics. Students' unions have become little more than service providers, with their all-student meetings often being attended by as few as 50 people. In becoming corporations, universities are even able to limit protests on their own public spaces.
Voilà, c'est ça le rêve néolibéral que Macron souhaite appliquer en France. Ces mesures, comme la sélection à l'université ou la privatisation des chemins de fer, ont été appliquées ici il y a plusieurs décennies et nous en subissons le poids chaque jour. Un poids tellement lourd qu'il concasse cette société et la transforme en un assemblement d'individus épars et déconnectés. Aujourd'hui, nous nous battons pour y mettre fin. Vous vous battez pour ne jamais en arriver là et il est encore temps. Vous avez vraiment tout notre soutien.